So, what do we know? Well, if you look online, there's a lot of information about California wildfires. In fact, you can find California's wildfire statistics by year at Frontline Wildfire Defense. So, I went there and I found that the government collects and shares California wildfire data, which measures the impact that wildfires have on residents, structures, and even the environment. So, you have the statistics tracked by year starting in 1987. They have the number of wildfires and the number of acres that have been burned. If you scroll all the way down to the last 4 years, you look at 2020, they had 9,639 wildfires and over 4 million acres burned. 2021, same thing, 8,800 plus wildfires, over 2.5 million acres burned. In 2022, you had 7,500 rounding here wildfires and 362,000 acres burned. So 2022 was actually a good year. And then 2023, 7,000 plus wildfires and over 300,000 acres burned. So, if this has been a problem and they're tracking these statistics going back to 1987, what kind of efforts have really truly been undertaken to remediate? Well, I can tell you, we passed legislation a few years back to get desalination plants going that would take ocean water and remove the salt from it and store that water for strictly to be used to fight fires. I'm talking about real world solutions using technology that's available to us, and taxpayers passed that legislation in California and then it was funded. But the plants have never been stood up. And that's according to Kira Davis, who's a writer for Red State. She's a podcaster and frequent guest on media everywhere from Fox News to Sirius XM. And even here, she is someone who lives in California and has been very outspoken about the lack of leadership there. So, what caused the Palisades blaze, which was the start of all of this? Well, visual evidence points to a recent New Year's Eve fire that was lit by people who went up into the woods and they shot off fireworks and started a blaze. The fire remediation was implemented. They put the fires out, but fires that are extinguished can smolder underground or inside of logs and then reignite, becoming full blown fires again. And that's what they think happened here. So, about two of the states, all but two of the states, top 20 most destructive wildfires have happened in the last 25 years. So, we know the responses aren't getting any better. And California voters must demand that these plants that they voted for and paid for be built. They must demand that the water reservoirs be refilled and kept maintained, and that those who are responsible for the current disaster be removed from office. So, speaking of those reservoirs, and now there's a lot of man on the street video of the largest reservoir there that should have been used to fight the fires early on before they became mismanaged and unmanageable. That reservoir is empty. It actually is supposedly under maintenance, meaning it hasn't been full in over a year. So over a year's worth of maintenance, but there are no construction machines. There's nothing there to prove that any maintenance has been done. People are getting away with murder. They're earning salaries of about 500,000 a year for not doing their job, and now you have deaths and loss of property that are kind of unimaginable.